Greetings again everyone, and today I'm putting together just a brief video to check out how the Sony E-mount version of this highly regarded Viltrox lens performs, their autofocus 27mm f1.2. It's an aps-c camera lens, and so it does not provide a full frame image, but if you have a full frame camera, here's what the picture will look like unless you shoot in crop mode. But hey, that's not to take anything away from this lens's general awesomeness. Anyone who's seen my original review of it on Fuji X-mount will know that this lens is actually one of the best on that system, with its super bright aperture, high quality optics, affordable price of only about $550 and useful focal length, the full frame equivalent of about 41mm. Certainly, if you own a Sony E-mount camera, particularly an aps-c one, then this is one of the lenses to consider getting. But does it perform as well as the Fuji version though? In this video, I'm going to compare how the Sony E version handles its electronics and autofocus, and how sharp its images look on a 24-megapixel Sony aps-c sensor. If you want to find out more about the lens and how its optics perform, then take a look at my full review down in the description below, and if I remember, I'll pin it in the comments too. And thanks to Viltrox, who've sent this lens for testing, although as usual, this is a totally independent review. The lens's build quality is just as good as before, tough and metallic, quite a beautiful thing to handle actually. The rear is still weather sealed, and this time the gasket has a kind of burnt orange colour to it, which looks attractive. We still get a USB-C port here for future firmware updates. I remember the Fuji version having a slight issue with its aperture mechanism, offering slightly inconsistent light levels at different apertures. Well, that didn't seem to be a problem on this Sony version. The aperture ring still has gentle clicks, but can be set to turn smoothly. The lens's manual focus ring still turns fantastically smoothly. On the Fuji version, its manual focus response was kind of jerky, but here on Sony E, it's lovely and smooth. We still see a moderate amount of focus breathing here, though. Just like on Fuji X-mount, the lens's autofocus motor runs quickly, silently, and accurately, which is good news of course, and it had no trouble with subject tracking or anything like that. That's in single shot autofocus mode. Switch to continuous autofocus mode, and the focus speed jumps up a little to being the fastest this lens can perform on any system. Nice! So overall, the build quality of this Sony version of the lens continues to be excellent, and any slight electronic niggles with the old Fuji version seem to have been ironed out. Well, let's see what its image quality is like on a Sony 24-megapixel aps-c sensor then. These pictures are taken with automatic corrections turned on. Straight away from f1.2, image quality in the middle is perfectly sharp and punchy. On horizontal contrasting edges, I caught just an edge of ghosting there, but nothing serious. I think it was down to sample variation honestly, as other versions of the lens didn't have this problem, and as soon as you stop down to f1.4, it goes away again. Over in the corners, image quality continues to be very good, although they're just a touch softer at the brightest apertures. At f2 we see a nice improvement, and at f2.8 the image is now razor sharp from corner to corner. The lens stays this sharp until you stop down to f11 or f16, where softness from the effects of diffraction really do kick in. Still, there's no avoiding diffraction, so this is great performance at 24 megapixels really. While we're on the subject of resolution, the close-up image quality at f1.2 is noticeably softer, unfortunately, with much lower contrast. f1.4 looks about the same, but stopping down to f2 sharpens everything up again. When it comes to vignetting and distortion, performance against bright light, chroma levels and bokeh, well, naturally all those issues are the same as the original Fuji version of the lens, so check out my full review to find out more about those optical questions. Overall though, the Sony E-mount version of this excellent lens actually works very slightly better than the Fuji version. It is smoother to manually focus, and minor issues with the aperture mechanism seem to have been ironed out. The lens's optical quality is just as good. Straight from f1.2, the picture is fantastically sharp with good contrast, and stopping down brings the corner image quality back in line with the middle, so of course the lens still has to come highly recommended.